Diamore Law Group believes personal injury is about public safety, not just a settlement check. Led by veteran trial attorney Tom Diamore, with over 30 years of experience holding negligent drivers, corporations, and unsafe institutions accountable across Oregon. And clients pay nothing unless they win. If you or someone you love has been seriously injured, call 503-222-6333 or visit diamorelaw.com to schedule a free consultation.
History comes to life in Titanic, the artifact exhibition, opening March 21st at OMSI. This immersive exhibit offers a rare opportunity for audiences of all ages to take a step back in time and take on the role of a passenger on the ship's first and final voyage. With more than 100 authentic artifacts recovered from the wreck site, visitors can explore life aboard the Titanic and the human stories behind one of history's most enduring tragedies. Tickets available at omsi.edu.
This is CityCast Portland. I'm Claudia Meza, and this is what Portland's talking about. Today on CityCast Portland, we're looking into the bold new idea promising to eliminate all traffic deaths in our city, the renewed scrutiny the Portland Housing Authority is now under, and a couple seasonal things to look out for in the coming weeks. With me today are Stumptown Savings founder Bryan Vance and our very own senior producer Giulia Fiaoni. Bryan, Giulia, thank you so much for joining me this morning.
Hey.
Hey, good morning.
Hello. As most of our listeners know, before we jump into the news, I ask an opening question so any new ones out there can get to know our guests a little better. And today's question is inspired by the fact that I've been out of the country for like 2 weeks.
For forever.
Yeah. I was in New Zealand visiting friends and eating the best steak of my life, you guys. I don't know what they're doing to their cows out there. Like, leaving them alone in grass is that's what I'm
Probably
thinking.
what's happening.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah. And as refreshing and amazing that trip was, I'm feeling a little disoriented. So my question to you both is, what'd I miss? What's the biggest piece of news locally or personally that I need to catch up on? I did hear about the war from an Uber driver in Wellington, so I'm all caught up there.
Let's not go there.
Okay.
Claudia, I'm going to welcome you back with a little bit of good news and a little bit of personal news. So the first one is the beloved all-women sports bar, the Sports Bra, is opening a new franchise location in Portland, Maine, which is super exciting. Right? And this comes after spots they've announced in Boston, Indianapolis, Las Vegas, and St. Louis. So they're really growing, which is so exciting to hear about. That really got me stoked. And then personal news, in the time that you flew to New Zealand and back, I flew to Montreal, Canada. So I'm actually reporting from here today. I'm visiting my little sister. So hello.
Aw, that's amazing. What about you, Bryan?
I didn't fly anywhere, but I did get to hang out with some miniature cows over the weekend, which was really cool. So,
God.
And they're miniature cows, not actually that miniature. Just to clarify, they're still like 400 pounds, but they are cute. And these ones were very much like dogs. They let you like scratch their chin and their ears and stuff. It was cool.
I hear cows are so sweet.
They are. Their eyelashes are huge. I don't know if you've ever seen a cow up close, but basically, like Maybelline should hire them for a commercial or something. Those eyelashes are nuts.
Oh,
nice.
So cute.
Awesome. Well, I just know if I hang out with cows for longer than like 20 minutes, I'll probably go vegetarian, which is why I've been avoiding it. There's no way.
I know you were just talking about steak.
I know. And I was like, God, I feel so guilty. All right, on to the news of the week. Bryan, what is this new transportation infrastructure idea that could eliminate all traffic deaths? What is this brand new concept?
This brand new idea?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Vision Zero, actually not that new in Portland. I can't remember when we first stated this goal, but it's the plan to eliminate all traffic deaths in Portland. The new thing is there's actually a city in America. We no longer have to look to Europe where we could get some ideas on how to sort of change things up in Portland. And the plus side is, they deal with the exact same political system that we have, or, a very similar political system because it's a democracy. So Lake McTighe, the chief, transportation planner for Metro, our regional government, was recently on Think Out Loud and was telling Dave Miller, the host, about Hoboken, New Jersey, which has not had a single traffic-related fatality for the past 9 years. This is a New York City suburb with 0 traffic fatalities for almost a decade. And you want to know how they did it? They reduced speed limits. They did things like tackled dangerous intersections by, changing the infrastructure so they could separate people from cars. They've focused on increasing transit ridership, all things that we know work because this stuff has been studied to the point where we know what causes traffic deaths and we know how to fix them. The other thing that really works in Hoboken's favor, it's 2 square miles. A lot smaller than Portland.
I was about to say, Hoboken is I don't know, 60,000 people.
Tiny.
Yeah. It's also one of the most densely populated cities in the United States. So I can imagine it's easier to focus the dangerous intersections as opposed to Portland, which is, we're working on it, but we're currently very much a sprawled out metro.
We really are.
Yeah.
This story really cracked me up just because of the fact that Hoboken was used as an example. My older sister, lives very close by, about 15-minute drive from Hoboken. And what's hilarious about this to me is that although they are driving quite slow, it doesn't mean that they're getting rid of that New Jersey style of driving where people are honking at you as soon as the light turns green. A little bit of I'm walking here. It's perfect. It is so hilariously slow for how aggressive people are still. But I do want to say it is a funny balance between managing traffic because, like you said, it's an extremely populated area. But also, it's kind of crazy driving there. It's really difficult to get around. So this kind of puts me on the fence of how effective this would be for Portland.
To me, I'm just thinking about how slow they're driving, and I'm everyone's essentially in a parade.
It's
why
20
are they
miles per hour citywide.
Just put some flowers on your car and wave to people at a certain point.
It is slow, but that is speed does equal death in many cases. If you get hit by a car doing 20 miles per hour, it's going to hurt. If you get hit by a car doing 50 miles an hour, you're probably not going to survive. So it's that is one of the things that definitely works. I just thought it was interesting, though, this whole time that we've been talking about Vision Zero, Portland's had its struggles. I will say traffic deaths have actually declined in Portland 2 years running. So things are trending in the right direction. It was 39 people in 2025, so still not 0, but, much better than the highs that we saw of, 70 people a few years ago.
I will say, though, that 39 deaths, still terrible, but
it's awful. They're all preventable.
We've been working on this for a little over 10 years. Vision Zero was announced in 2015. And the fact that we can't figure it out in 10 years, it does leave me feeling a little hopeless. But I like the idea that they proposed, which was how about we focus on intersections? And I feel like we have been doing that. But to this day, I can't tell you how many times a car has almost hit me on the crosswalk when I've had the little green guy. Because there's also, the crossing street also has a green light, and they're trying to make a left. And they get confused, and they're like, what are you doing crossing? I have a green. And it's damn. I've literally gotten yelled at in a crosswalk with the little green guy, and I've literally been pointing to him me walk now, and they're just get out of the road. So I just feel we have work to do in our intersections, and perhaps
we've got a lot.
Slowing down, I think, is a great idea. I don't know how Portland will do with 20 miles per hour. I gotta tell you, I just don't.
I don't see it happening.
I don't see it happening. I
not
do not
citywide.
See it.
They've made it 20 miles per hour on most residential streets, and for the most part, that seems to be working. Occasionally, someone will speed down a street faster, but I'd say most people adhere to it. But can you imagine if PAL, which, is actually run by ODOT, or Lombard was reduced to 20 miles per hour, it'd be nuts.
I kind of want to see it, honestly.
It would be kind of fun.
It would be funny.
See.
Until I have an appointment I need to get to. But until then, I want there to be cameras on. I want to check in. I want to see how everyone's doing.
Live streaming it all.
Because, what if it does work? What if everyone loves it? Right now, we're just oh, that's a crazy idea.
I do think it's interesting, Julia's point. It doesn't sound like, again, this is anecdotal, but it doesn't sound like maybe everyone loves going slow in Hoboken, but they have to. So they just kind of get used to it. They still gripe about it.
Yeah. I think it's become a part of what to expect when you get in the car in that area. Like another example I'm thinking about is on Northeast Broadway. They have put in parking spaces on the street to make it a tighter area so people go slower. Mm-hmm. And that's a really interesting way of approaching it too, because there are a lot of incidents on that specific street. And it kind of threw me off at first too. I was like, what is going on here? This is insane. But now I'm like, oh, I am just driving a little bit slower. Like this is actually working, even if it is annoying.
Oh man. I will say it would be kind of cool. Everybody else 20 miles per hour except for buses and of course the max. And then that way you're
speed
pushed.
Transit up.
Do you want to make it on time?
Yeah,
take the transit.
Take the bus.
Because they're going 40.
With those dedicated bus lanes, you could do it.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Bryan, for breaking that down. Let's take a quick break here. And when we come back, why Home Forward, the city's housing authority, is now under renewed scrutiny.
If you're looking for an excuse to visit the Oregon coast, Newport has several new places to stay, and each one is offering something a little bit different, like the Allred Hotel, which makes coastal travel really easy. Just bring the family and the pup, and you can enjoy their pool, sauna, and on-site restaurant. And of course, the beach is just a few steps away. If you're looking for something a little bit quieter, maybe check out Hotel Sylvia. Think oceanfront views and shelves full of books in a setting that feels just like an old, eclectic library. And then there's the Louie. It's a boutique hotel that adds a little bit of character to your stay with lo-fi jazz that greets you at the door. And your room comes equipped with your own turntable and record collection. Their private saunas and hot tubs invite real rest. And it's all just steps away from the historic Nye Beach Arts District. Explore these Newport stays and plan your next getaway at discovernewport.com/citycast. We're living in a moment where communicating big ideas is harder than ever. Trust is fragile, real dialogue is difficult, and staying silent, that can be dangerous. That's why the Association of Science Communicators is bringing Science Talk 2026 to Portland's Tiffany Center. This year marks the conference's 10-year anniversary with the theme Wayfinding, Charting a Decade of Dialogue. Science Talk brings together scientists, journalists, educators, and curious members of the public to wrestle with some of the big questions facing science communication today. Stuff like, how do you counter conspiracy theories? How do you rebuild public trust? And how do you tell stories about science in ways that actually reach people? From building bridges with rural communities to high-stakes conversations, this conference is where the field of science communication sharpens its thinking for the decade ahead. You can join in person in Portland or attend online from anywhere. Go to sciencetalk.org to learn more.
All right, guys. So one thing that hasn't changed since I left is all the heat our city's housing authority, or Home Forward, has been receiving. For anyone just jumping into this convo, Home Forward and the Portland Housing Authority are one in the same, and they're a self-contained public agency largely funded by federal dollars and overseen by a 9-member board of commissioners. These appointees to the board are subject to confirmation by our city council, and for the past year or so, 3 of those 9 seats have remained empty. That's just a precursor to explain how things are managed here. So the agency first came under scrutiny last year when their then director, Helmi Hisrich, was forced to resign by our mayor back in November. Now then came the discovery of as much as $106 million in unspent housing funds, which, by the way, $56 million of those dollars are currently available for spending by counselors. And most recently, Willamette Week's Sophie Peel reported about how tenants at Home Forward's Dawson Park Apartments in North Portland are dealing with a drug market inside their own walls. Now, also plaguing the Bureau are high rates of rent non-payment and a vacancy rate of more than 10%, meaning that each year, more of the organization's buildings cannot make their mortgage or any other debt repayments, making it so that they need cash transfers to plug in the holes. And because of all this, many of their buildings are in poor condition and getting poorer. So Sophie also found that the salaries of Home Forward's 4 executives increased by 60% in 3 years' time, even as data reveals it takes the agency on average 6 months to fill an empty unit. And again, their buildings are not able to routinely pay their mortgages as currently managed. So it just didn't make sense, right? All this while our city is still trying to deal with approximately 7,000 people sleeping outside every night in Multnomah County. So it's been subject to talk here, especially with our city councilors. Councilor Eric Zimmerman actually out loud wondered, is this system rotten to its core? And Councilor Alana Perdulgini has also suggested more than once that maybe the city should consider withholding tax dollars from Home Forward if it can't meet a certain occupancy standard. So right now there are 2 lines of thinking in City Council: hold Home Forward accountable somehow, possibly withholding funding from the money that they already have that's been discovered, because they are trying to figure out how to spend that money. Or a bailout of sorts that Councilor Mitch Green is suggesting, who, as a reminder, is an actual economist. Basically, Councilor Green is suggesting spending $8.8 million on rent buydowns at affordable buildings. So a program, he says, would be competitive and administered by the Portland Housing Bureau themselves. By his office calculations, it could lower the rent at 145 apartments by roughly $350 a unit. No matter what, Homelessness and Housing Committee Chair Councilor Candace Avalos is arranging a meeting with all the affordable housing providers getting paid by Home Forward to grill them on what exactly is going on, because that's who actually runs these buildings, you guys. It's not the city, it's these third-party providers, and they're the ones providing services or anything that is needed in these buildings, not our city. So what do you guys think?
I mean, the point about the executives getting massive pay bumps over the past few years while all these performance metrics haven't been met, it's just like there's some sort of disconnect there.
Yeah.
You would think that because executives aren't typically unionized, you would think that their compensation would be tied to performance. And it seems like something's misaligned there, and that maybe this independent oversight board isn't working.
How about that?
The city should take a bigger step in monitoring things and making sure that Home Forward is doing what it's supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I just want to talk a little bit more about Councilor Green's pitch, because I find it really fascinating. And I want to also include some of Councilor Zimmerman's pushback on it. So basically, what Councilor Green is suggesting is like lowering the debt of these affordable housing providers, with them making a promise that they will lower their rents so that there will be a lot less of an issue with vacancies. But what Zimmerman is saying in response is this is, quote unquote, giving it a double public subsidy. So one, taxpayer subsidy to build the building, and then a second one to pay down its debt obligations, which sounds insane when you lay it out that way. But I do want to remind folks that this money that would be going to pay down this debt from City Hall is a part of this mass of money that was found over the past few months that was unbudgeted from the Housing Bureau. This is about $56 million that they have to spend right now. And this obviously wouldn't be the only thing that this money would be going towards. A couple other things that have been thrown out there is actually purchasing low-cost housing. Like the city would purchase low-cost housing to use
good idea.
as an affordable housing option. They also are hoping to put the money towards plans and programs to support renters, which would also include eviction defense. But on the more controversial end, they're also talking about having this money actually go towards the gap in funding for the city's general fund, which goes towards things like parks and police. So it's kind of all over the place right now, and it's interesting to dig into this one part.
I will say, though, eviction defense is interesting when the landlord is the city. So we would be funding... I'm like, that's why I don't know if you heard me scoff a little. I was like,
it's like the public defender system.
That's a funny little piece
it's
of that
just a little
pie.
odd. It's like, just lower the rent. Like, why are we going back and forth here? I will say the whole lower the rent thing, because I know Councilor Zimmerman also was just like, why didn't you just lower the rent to begin with? And the providers keep pushing back and going, it's costing this much, because it's not just rent, it's services, right? They're providing services. Right. A lot of people need more than just rent. You know, they need counseling, they need this, they need, you know, like it's some of these buildings are more than just affordable housing. I just wanted to point that out. But also holding them accountable by not giving them money when they need money, to me, just doesn't make sense.
Well, ultimately, it's going to hurt the folks that are staying
That's what I'm
there.
saying.
Like, that is not a solution for people who are actually accessing this kind of housing.
Yeah, because it's like, also, who are you holding accountable? The people that are just like, yeah, we can't run it with this money or the system. It's like, fix the system. Like, it seems like, yeah, you want to sniff out the rot, do that. Focus your energy and your anger there. But like, not giving money to a public funded service that needs it just feels counterintuitive. Because you're not really punishing the bureaucrats, you're punishing the people who need it.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, if they don't have any money, then they're going to perform even worse than they've already been performing.
Yeah, it just feels like, honestly, it feels like bad parenting. Sorry.
That's what I think. They just need to install a hall monitor who's like checking their report card and stuff like that. Like, they just need a parent in the house.
For sure. All right. Well, let's take a quick break here. And when we come back, more headlines of the week. All right, Giulia, you have a few headlines for us. We're going to do our time-honored tradition of timing you. You're going to get a minute.
Oh, gosh. I wasn't ready for this part.
Wait.
Surprise.
Did you think you were just going to talk and it wasn't going to be...
I thought I was just going to free jazz a little bit, you know?
You can free jazz for a minute each.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Okay.
I was made for this.
Okay. Yeah, you were, girl. Yeah, you were. Stopwatch. Okay, 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, so the first on my list of things to look forward to this spring season is whales. So this comes from some reporting by Jamie Hale at the Oregonian, and he's talking about Spring Whale Watch Week. Ooh, it's a tongue twister. It's starting this weekend through Sunday, March 29th. It's an annual whale watching event hosted by the Oregon Parks and Recreation Department. And we're talking about watching gray whales on their migration path between the breeding grounds in Mexico and feeding grounds in Alaska, going past the Oregon coast. There are a bunch of trained volunteers and park rangers at 15 different park sites up and down the coast to help people spot them. This is from Fort Stevens to Harris Beach from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. on these days. Supposedly, Depot Bay is the quote-unquote whale-watching capital of the Oregon coast if you really want to guarantee seeing them. And it's estimated about 13,000 gray whales are expected to swim past Oregon this season.
Damn, that was 1 minute exactly. Giulia,
On the dot.
I told you I was built for this today.
I will
Thank
say,
you.
I've been to these whale watching sightings and I have seen 0 whales here.
I was going to say, I've yet to see a whale.
That
I
makes
know.
me so
It
sad.
makes not to deter people from going and checking it out, but it was disappointing. I have not gone to Depot Bay though. I hear Depot Bay is where you want to go. So maybe if you're thinking about it, just make the drive down to Depot, because like I went like an hour and a half south and like not one whale, and and I hear there's
Yeah.
going to
Maybe
be
you could
even
go a bit
less
further.
whales this year, like coming
There
up.
is less whales than last year. Last year's estimate was about a little over 19,000. It's really hard for me to get into why this is the case. I know a lot of it is largely due to climate change and food resources for the whales being a lot less abundant and so many other things. I feel like I don't have the expertise to really get into it, but I don't know. If you're really hoping to see a whale, it's not going to get easier as the years go on.
not
So I hate to break it to you. So you may as well try this time. But anyway, to pivot to some other things
Ready?
to look forward to, I don't want to get too much in the doom and gloom. I am ready.
All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1, go.
So I am talking about cherry blossom viewings in town in Portland. First off, you got to go to Tom McCall Waterfront Park. Everybody knows it's the area where the trees are is actually called the Japanese American Historical Plaza. And this is because the trees were a gift from the Japanese Grain Importers Association from all the way back in 1990 to remember those that were forced into internment camps during World War II. So there's a really rich history there that I think a lot of folks don't know about. But the coolest thing is that the Japanese American Museum of Oregon actually has a website tracking the trees. I checked this morning. They're almost there, but definitely not in peak bloom yet. So if you want to hold out, probably have another week or so, but definitely keep an eye on that website. Another spot to go and check them out is at the University of Portland. I would recommend the Academic Quad. Be an amazing place to have a little spring picnic. It's this grass area with trees aligning the whole quad. And then my last pick would be the Portland Japanese Garden. This is because their trees tend to bloom a little bit later. They also have a website tracker. You're going to want to go ahead and check that out before you purchase a ticket because there is a cost of admission. But this is just because the trees are in a colder environment with the forested area and the higher elevation. But it's just such an amazing time of year. You got to go check them out.
Yeah. Well, that wasn't as good, I gotta tell you, but time-wise, but it was worth it. It was worth it because I thought you were just going to talk about the Tom McCall waterfront.
No, there's so many.
There's so many. I didn't know there were so many.
Yeah.
Those listening, if you haven't gone to the Tom McCall waterfront when they're in bloom, it is magical. It sounds kind of cheesy, but like the whole city comes out. It's so cute. There's always someone playing music. It is just spectacular. Like, bring, something not alcoholic, of course.
No.
Bring some food and like have a little picnic with your friends. It's so much fun.
It's so cute. It's like one of my favorite Portland traditions. I do have one more thing to look forward to. This is a little bit further down the line in early April. Are you ready to count me in?
Oh my God, yeah. And everyone listening who are just like, why do they do this? Because we like to. Because it's fun for
It's
us.
fun. Who doesn't love a challenge?
I know. All right, 3, 2, 1, go.
So this next one comes from Andy Giegerich at the Portland Business Journal, and he's talking about the return of the Thompson Elk statue. This is the statue that's on Southwest Main Street between 3rd and 4th Avenues, and it's coming back on April 12th. So a lot of folks know I actually learned this because I moved to Portland after this happened, but it was removed because of some fire and vandalism related to some damage that happened during the 2020 George Floyd protests because that statue is like right where a lot of that was happening. This was back in July of 2020. So I've actually never seen it myself, which makes me really excited that it's coming back. I learned that it's the second oldest public art piece in Portland, and it was built in 1900 by David P. Thompson, who was the mayor of Portland from 1879 to 1882. So some real history there. And we had a listener write in asking about it recently, so I'm glad to have some updates for them about when it's coming back. So we'll have to go and check that out in April.
Brian, have you missed it?
Mist is a weird word to say. I mean, it's a cool statue. The placement always freaked me out a little bit because if you were ever driving through there, it looked like you were going to like drive into the statue and then at the last minute it diverts you around it. It would do better in like a more pedestrian area of that same stretch instead of like as a traffic diversion. But it's cool. I like it.
I can't remember what it looked like. I gotta be honest.
It's big.
That's so funny. I mean, it's been like 6 years, almost 6 years. It's
I don't know her anymore. She comes back. She's gotta I'm like, who are you? Well, thank you, Giulia, for giving us something to look forward to. I guess for those who really did miss that statue or are curious what it is. Well, thanks for going through some headlines with me, y'all. That's all for today here on CityCast Portland. Thank you, everyone, so much for listening. If you enjoyed the show, share it with a friend, rate or leave us a good review. Don't leave us a bad one. And don't forget, you can support this show and get great perks by becoming a CityCast neighbor. You can just visit membership.citycast.fm for all the details. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more from around the city. Until then, see you at Slim's or at the Cherry Blossoms.
See you there.